Hello, everyone. I am Mariana Macedo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ana Maria.
Today we will have the second guest in Wings Pushing the Glass Ceiling. Hi, Sofia. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi. Hi, everyone. Yes, of course. So I'm Sofia Teixeira. At this moment, I'm a research scientist at Hospital da Luz Learning Health in Portugal, in Lisbon. And I'm really, really happy to be here in this session with you. You are amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Sofia. So as we mentioned it in our last video, the purpose of our blog is talk about the stories behind the scenes for our researchers and create role models and know how do you feel your responsibilities and how have you achieved the success that you have now.
This has been a very exciting path. So yes, I started like my PhD in computer science. So I'm a computer scientist by training. At the beginning of my research, I was doing mostly graph theory stuff. And then I attended my first complex networks conference, and I was completely fascinated by the amount of different applications that work with networks could lead. So I started like having some new ideas in different fields and so on in computational social sciences, computational biology, evolutionary game theory. So my brain was like, I want to be all over the place. Of course, you can't during your PhD. You should focus or not on something. So yeah, so the growth was a bit like that. And because here in Portugal, we don't have like this very strong community in network science. So of course we have very good researchers in network science, but we don't like have a chapter. So hopefully that will change in the near future. So I think that meeting new people at the conferences and so on and the workshops actually allowed me to engage more with the community and start to getting to know people. And I think that, of course, my relative success during these years is actually due to not only to the amazing PhD supervisors that I had, but also the amazing people that I met during these last years and that allowed me to like share my ideas, listen to theirs.
That's awesome, Sofia. So you were chair of the Young Researchers of the Complex System Society. Yes. And we would like to know how you get involved and how you became like active in the organization. What did you do? Why people should do too?
Yes, well, that is actually a very important part of my recent past because I really believe that my engagement with the Complex System Society allowed me to do stuff that maybe I wouldn't have done before meeting them. So basically, I was still doing my PhD. And as I said, since here we don't have that type of community, I was looking for workshops, conferences, and so on complex systems and network science. And I found this winter workshop on complex systems at the time in Zakopane in Poland. And I was like, well, I've never even have been in a place with snow, with real snow. And this was a winter workshop among mountains and so on. So why not to try and to go? And at the time, I think I didn't know anyone there. So I was completely new to the community. I didn't have any colleagues, so I went by myself. But they were really amazing. So after a couple of days, of course, we were already engaging a lot with each other. We had these projects that we were working together. The engagement was so nice that I was like, well, if I want one day to even build this type of community, I think that the best way is try to engage with them and be part of something that you can learn from. And I had very nice colleagues there that they supported my application and so on. We went to elections and then I got elected to the advisory board. In the first year, I started as a secretary. And then in the second year, I was the chair. Yeah, so I've learned so much because as young researchers, we want to support each other. We want to find new opportunities to support each other and so on. And with young researchers, we have these scholarships, we have these grants, and we even engage with the Mother Society to be part of the main conference and so on. So I think that I developed a lot of skills in terms of communication, leadership, and so on, that maybe I wouldn't have if I was never part of the young researchers. So I think that it's really nice to engage with them. First, because they are all amazing people, at least that I know of. Second is that you get to know and to spread these initiatives and these opportunities to other young researchers. And of course, if you ever have the opportunity of being part of the advisory board, I think you will also get to know a little bit the backstage of organizing some events, what is behind some scholarships and so on. So yeah, it was great.
Continue with your path and questions about your research career. And now you are a research scientist in the hospital, but we want to come back a bit. So can you tell us about your experience as a PhD and postdoc? What did you struggle with? What helped you to overcome with those struggles? And what are the most valuable learnings that you have from those experiences during the PhD and postdoc?
So yeah, so as a PhD student, actually, I didn't have like a linear path. So I started then in graph theory, as I said, but I struggled a little bit at the beginning. Not because what I had proposed was not interesting, but it's like I didn't feel that was what I wanted to do long term. So I created a little bit of resistance. And that resistance actually led me to almost give up on my PhD. When I remember that I came back from one conference and I had these new ideas, and I went to my advisors and I told them I would like to try this, like experiment this and so on. And they were really nice because they allowed me to do that. And I went there, I experimented, I tried new things. They really supported me at that point. Then, of course, you always struggle a bit along the way. But I think that, for example, one of the things that was really important was when I started to engage with other PhD students, even like outside Portugal. And also because sometimes if you are not with those big names from the community, sometimes you feel a little bit more like, I don't know, like you're never going to get it, or you are never going to make it to that point that you are also working with these very acknowledged, scientists that everyone wants to work with. And so I think that I felt that a little bit by the end of my PhD, because then you start to know the community, you start to know everyone, and you're like, oh, but those students, they are working with these advisors that are just superstars internationally. And so it can create a little bit, some insecurity, I think. But yeah, but then if you find the support system and if you trust that somehow, you have to convince yourself sometimes, but if you trust sometimes that in yourself and that you are going to get there, I think that's one step in front of the other. And when I was finishing my PhD, actually, I also was an invited assistant professor at the Faculty of Science in the University of Lisbon. So my idea at the time was, okay, I'm doing my PhD. I get now this opportunity to be an invited assistant professor. Is not a tenure-track position, but maybe I will start to have, I don't know, some roots to stay in academia and so on. The amazing thing was that then by the end of my PhD, actually, I was invited to go to the US to do a postdoc there. The fact that you enter in a new environment where it seems like they breed complex systems and network science. So it's like a very different environment, and you feel like you could thrive there with your ideas and so on. And so after that visit, I came back to Portugal, I defended my PhD, and then I accepted the postdoc offer to go to Bloomington. And in September, so I defended in July, and so in September 2019, I went to Bloomington. The postdoc experience was different in so many ways that I was expecting. Well, also we had the pandemic in the middle of it, so everything was a bit different from the beginning. I think I've learned a lot there. But again, I think that what really helped me was to have like this safety net of my colleagues and friends all over the world that if I would need, I knew I could reach them. And so, yeah, that helped me a lot. And I'm really happy that everything ended up working really well. And then I received this invitation from the hospital, and yeah, here I am now.
I was wondering because you were explaining how emotional you were unexpectedly challenged over the PhD and postdoc. What, in a pragmatic way, what you did that helped you? So it was like talking more with other people, reading more, or having a time to think?
I think that what I discovered in the past 2 years, since the last year of my PhD and now these couple of years, was to find solutions inside myself and with myself. Because as we grow and as we start having more responsibilities, it's not that we cannot go to live concerts or meet people in book meetings and so on. It's that we really need to manage our schedule a little bit better. And so we don't have like that amount of time to just go take our bags and travel or something like that, as I used to do. And so I think that, and this may sound cliche, but it's so true. I think that self-care is like hugely important, in the sense that, of course, talking with other people help. And I really encourage having at least one person that you can like spend hours just throwing everything and they will listen. They could even not be in academia, because some of the people that supported me were not even inside academia, but the fact that I could channel my frustrations and so on would help me a lot. I think it's really important that we find time to listen to ourselves, what we want, what we wish to do, and what the environment is kind of providing as feedback, being that the people that we are working with, or even the fact that sometimes we are pushing too hard on something and it's not the best for us. There are a lot of power dynamics of a lot of stuff sometimes in academia, and we feel small sometimes in the middle of all this. So we need like to find a space even inside our minds in which we can gain some confidence and some space to then say, okay, this is what I want, or this is what I feel that it's right for me, for myself. And so I guess that besides the support system with friends, with colleagues, I think it's really important that we also go a little bit inside and get to know ourselves, so we can then strengthen and speak for ourselves when we need.
I have a question. In the work that you developed there, because you told me that you are trying to build like this like support network, right?
Yeah.
So in regarding to your networks also about productivity and how you work, like there is a strategy that you have to have the support network also translated to the collaboration networks, like to the papers that you write, or you have these two worlds?
Okay, first, I was working a lot by myself up to almost the end of my PhD. And then with this going to the workshops and so on, and we have these small projects inside the workshops, you start then working with these people, and sometimes you are really lucky and you create like a new collaboration with a very nice group. And I was really lucky because I had that at least 2 times with 2 different groups of people. But it also allows you, of course, to then start building this support system in terms of collaborations. So, and it's really important that you communicate well with this group. So I found that stuff work best when you already define, or when at least you feel open to discuss what are the roles inside the group. So which one are doing what, we meet with this frequency. But one thing that actually I think it was important was that by the end of my PhD, my advisors told me, okay, Sofia, now you need to like spread your wings. And for a while, you will need to develop work and to collaborate with other people that are not your advisors. Then this would be good for you. It's not that we're saying we don't want to work with you, because we still collaborate from time to time, of course.
You are still a young researcher, but you are a woman. Have you struggled in some way in this male computer science field?
Yeah, for sure. It's not even like a question. Well, it's not any doubt there. As I said, I was lucky enough to have amazing PhD supervisors. They were both male. And I think I was really lucky with them. But even before that, as a student, I found some struggles with some professors, male professors. And I think that as women, we need to like guard ourselves a little bit more than we should have. And it's like we need to prove more than we should have to. And I feel furious a lot of times because of this. Not only because of myself, but because, of course, we are colleagues and we have other colleagues, and we start talking with each other and we exchange experiences, and we are like, oh, I thought this is happening only to myself or something, but of course not, of course not. And I think that what we really need is that our male companions that support us and that behave well start also like educating the other men. I believe that at some point we need to be able to be vocal about it. But I also know for firsthand experience that it takes time to feel comfortable to share and to be open about it.
So in your opinion, why do you think men tend to have higher number of papers during their career than women? Well, we see in the literature that men are more likely to have accepted published papers or grants or proposals or even patents. So what do you think this is the case? What do you think make men have so much more papers than women in the end?
Of course, there are like different aspects in the sense that if you have more males in academia, women are also more prone to work with men. And again, being a woman, this goes a little bit back to the previous questions that we have been discussing. We can feel more or less comfortable with our advisors, with our environment. So we can also be, I don't know, more comfortable or less comfortable to develop our own research and be, I don't know, enthusiastic with that, and so be more productive. And also it will depend, of course, on the editorial boards and so on of the venues that we submit things. So you can have more impartial boards that, despite your gender, whatever you are, they will just connect to the work. They will try to evaluate your work. But we know there are bias. We know there are people that are really strong-minded about whatever they think that a woman, a man, a non-binary should be studying. And we can't control that. So I think it's not a black or white answer. I think there are a lot of factors here, a lot of dimensions. But again, I hope that as we turn more collaborative, as we are able to have like all factions working together and changing minds.
Sofia, perhaps all these biases and differences that we see in gender, what would you give us an advice, an inspirational advice for women to pursue academia or become researchers?
Yeah, so I think that first, I don't know if this is very inspirational, but it has to come from the heart, like first, despite whatever you think that will happen. So, because, and I'm having now this conversation with some friends and actually some students now that they are finishing their masters and what are you doing next? And I think that first you really need to feel like you want to do a PhD, for example, because we all know that the path in academia is not easy, but I think it's worth it in the sense that I think we expand and we grow in ways that we would not, even because of the nature of our work. So the curiosity, the pursuing, the experimental side of it, being theoretical or applied, it doesn't matter. So there is a process in the research work that we are challenging ourselves all the time. And because we need to deal with all these different factors, we developed a lot of skills and even becoming more empathic, more sensible to some issues. And so I think that as women, we also bring that side of understanding and being more aware of all the struggles that not only us, but our colleagues are going through. And I think that, for example, one of the things that I think it's really cool is that when you, for example, if you decide to go on this path and become a professor, you can also create change in the departments. You can also be an example for students and so on. So I think that it can be tough, but as you go along the way and you start seeing results of your research and even of your engagement in the community, I think that it creates like a sense of belonging and of being like useful. I don't know if it's the correct word, but it's like having some meaning in what you are doing. And I think it's completely worth it. And so.
Thank you so much, Sophia. You would like to say something more for?
I really believe that women in network science are making a difference. And I really believe that joining us and also, of course, the entire community that has been supporting us and engaging with us will open a lot of doors for new opportunities, new environments, healthier environments in which we'll feel free to talk with each other.
Yeah, more support and more understanding with anyone, right?
Yes.
Regardless the gender, race, anything. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I believe, so here, this vlog, I think the goal is to actually try to show people that we are all humans and that we do some mistakes and make some mistakes. And then we like breathe, as you said, and then we go on. And then I think, at least for me, in my experience, sometimes nothing happens and you feel frustrated, but if you stick into it, something good will happen.
Stay centered the best we can, even with all the checks, but we'll be there. Yes, good stuff will happen for sure. And each time we have a thought or some insecurity, doubts, and so on, it's okay to have them. It's not okay to let them stay.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for watching us. I see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, all. Bye, Sophia.